My name is Chris Gross. I'm the head of video production at Grokr. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'll turn it over to Andrew very soon, but I just want to cover a little bit of business to get us started. So today's webinar is with Andrew Johnson. It's how to use meditation for a better night's sleep. Friday was actually World Sleep Day, so that was one of the reasons why we wanted to hold this webinar and launch Andrew's new sleep program today, which is launching right after this webinar ends. So hopefully you'll check that out, and hopefully you all are taking the opportunity with World Sleep Day to make a good change in your sleep. So just the points of business. Everybody's sharing where they're from in the chat. That's amazing. Love to see that. There's also a separate Q&A box, and that's what you guys are going to want to use to ask questions for Andrew later. And questions will be answered at the end after Andrew gives his presentation. And in addition to asking questions, because there are oftentimes more questions than there's time to get to all of them, you can upvote each other's questions. If someone else has asked a question that's similar to yours, you can upvote a question. That'll help Andrew to see kind of what are the most pressing questions for the most people and focus on those. This webinar is being recorded, and we're going to make it available on Grokr afterwards. So if you have to drop off, or if you have someone else in your life who couldn't make it, they can watch it later. When Andrew gives his presentation, he won't have slides, so we can just see him better when he's speaking. And I just have a few slides here at the beginning. So next, I'd like to introduce Andrew. So Andrew's one of our top experts on Grokr. Obviously, a lot of you are probably fans of him. He's been at it for a long time, for over 26 years. Andrew's been helping people to relax, make changes in their life. And he's been doing it with a range of self-recordings, guided workshops, apps, online courses. And he really tries to teach meditation in a way that makes it simple, safe, and really easy for everyone to integrate into their own lives. So today's kind of agenda real quick. We're going to start with a quick poll to just kind of set the stage, see what everybody is interested in learning about. And then Andrew's going to give a presentation covering some of these topics. And then he's going to lead us on a short guided meditation, a sleep meditation. We'll see if we're all asleep after that or ready for some questions. And then we'll have some Q&A time after that. And the webinar will last about 45 minutes probably. So please leave your questions in the Q&A box later on. And I'll be here as well, you know, to help with any technical stuff. But I'm going to turn it over to Andrew now.
Well, greetings, everyone. It's so nice to see so many people here from all different parts of the world. I'm in or on the south coast of Spain at the moment. And what time is it? It's about 6 o'clock at night, and it's rather warm, I have to say. So sorry for everyone who's in the rain at the moment. And my apologies about my voice. I'm a little croaky today. I've been doing lots of recordings. So sleep is a big problem for a high percentage of people. It is estimated that about 2/3 of adult population have difficulty sleeping at one point or another. And certainly from my experience as a therapist and selling recordings, anything that helps people sleep seems to be incredibly popular. Now, this is fascinating, this poll, because with this amount of people doing a poll, it's really interesting. Busy mind at bedtime, we're going to talk about that. Frequent waking without feeling rested, inconsistent bedtime routine. Okay, now, what I'm going to do today is talk about probably one of the most important laws out there. It's called the law of reversed effect. I'm going to talk about why so many people have problems sleeping at night. And I'm going to go through some of the rules about sleep and how meditation can help. So the first thing I want to talk about is the law of reversed effect. Now, if you've seen any of my other webinars, this is something that I always discuss. The law of reversed effect states that if something should happen naturally, without effort, without too much focus, without adrenaline, without pressure, then if you try to do it, the opposite effect happens. Now, this happens with relaxation, it happens with meditation, it happens with memory. You will all know that if you try hard to remember where you've put your car keys or your glasses, the harder you try, the further back it goes. Memory should happen automatically, just like relaxation, just like meditation. And the purpose of telling you this, the law of reversed effect, is its most profound effect is with sleep. If you have issues falling asleep and you get a little bit peeved with it, a little bit angry, and you're desperate to fall asleep, and you try to fall asleep, the opposite happens. The majority of the time, for the majority of people, you end up more awake. You end up more stressed, more pressured. And that's why finding something simple to do that allows the body and the mind to relax can be incredibly powerful when it comes to falling asleep at night. The law of reversed effect. Don't try to fall asleep. Instead, find little techniques that help you switch off mind and body. Meditation, perhaps, being one of the most powerful techniques to help you sleep at night. Now, I want to give you an idea of why an awful lot of people struggle with sleep. Thank you, Carolyn. That's really nice. I'll answer that question as we come to it. And I include myself in this, these reasons that people can't sleep. 2 or 3 decades ago, people had more time to think. They may call it being bored. They may call it daydreaming. Or they may have practiced meditation. Today, in today's world, we are bombarded with information, absolutely bombarded with information. If you are someone who's my age, and I won't tell you what age I am, but you will remember days of 2 or 3 channels on the television, certainly in the UK. No one had ever heard of smartphones or the internet. You certainly couldn't switch on the television and have a choice of 500 different channels. And it seems to me that in the last 15 to 20 years, the number of people with sleep issues has just gone stratospheric. And I have an idea about this. I believe that we need time to process things during the day. Maybe not consciously, but certainly unconsciously. We need time, for the want of a better expression, to be bored, to let our mind wander, to daydream, or to simply sit in a mindful or meditative state. It is in those times that the mind processes what's going on during the day. It is in those times that the mind sorts out things and gives us little nudges to make us think about who we are, how we feel, the direction we're going in life. But with the advent of incredible technology, always on information, smartphones and tablets and computers, we are, as I said earlier, getting bombarded with information. And so for a huge percentage of people, they are going to bed at night, and it is only when they close their eyes that the mind starts to process what's going on during the day. No wonder people have trouble falling asleep these days. If there was ever a reason to put down the smartphone during the day, to take a 15-minute walk without conversation, without the internet, to spend 5 or 10 minutes practicing breathing or mindful techniques, it is that. It allows the brain to process what's going on during the day, puts us back in touch with our true self, and allows those thoughts to pass by and stops them coming up at night. So if I was to give you one piece of advice or two pieces of advice from personal experience, is to take some time for yourself during the day doing nothing. Whether you choose to meditate or not, just simply sit and be, or just go for a walk. And the second thing is, when you go to bed at night, find simple, gentle techniques that distract the mind and quieten the mind and quieten and relax the body. So, on a practical note, before we talk more about meditation, there are certain things that are worth really noting to make the best of a better sleep pattern in the evening. Stick to a consistent sleep schedule. The body, the mind, love habitual behaviors. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This helps regulate your body's internal clock and improves the quality of your sleep. Now, these nightly routines that are going to go live after this webinar will give you lots of little techniques that you can use to switch off at night. Number 2, create a sleep-conducive environment. Try to make sure that your bedroom's as cool and dark and quiet as can be. It is really worth investing in comfortable bedding and pillows and a good mattress. Someone very famous in the UK said something years ago that I will always remember. Always invest in a good bed and a good pair of shoes, because if you're not in one, you're in the other. And that stuck with me, and that's something that I have done over the years. It is really worth investing in blackout curtains, or even just a cheap sleep mask. It is really worth investing in a good mattress. Number 3, avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed. Now, as we all know, caffeine's a stimulant that keeps you awake, and alcohol can disrupt your sleep cycle and lead to frequent awakenings during the night. If you're bothered with caffeine, it's quite incredible what it's included in, including soft drinks. Personally, and again, this is only me, I will never drink coffee after about 11 o'clock in the morning. I know for a fact that if I have coffee in the afternoon or a very early evening, it really disturbs my sleep. Number 4, don't eat heavy meals before bed. Eating a heavy meal before bedtime can cause discomfort and indigestion, and it does make it hard to fall asleep. Now, there's a lot of people out there who will have a good plate of something thinking that it helps them sleep better, but in actual fact has the opposite effect. Exercise regularly. Regular physical activity can improve the quality of your sleep, but avoid exercising too close to bedtime as it can stimulate your body and make it harder to fall asleep. There are wonderful programs out there, especially ones that include yin yoga with gentle stretching. Doing some gentle stretching as an exercise in the evening is absolutely wonderful, especially if you combine stretching with breathing. And in these little videos that are going live after this, there's quite a few really nice breathing techniques. Relax before bedtime. Taking a warm bath can help. Practicing relaxation techniques, of course, we're going to talk about that. Or reading a book to help you unwind before bedtime. Always productive. Now, here's the big one these days. Avoid using electronic devices before bed. The blue light emitted by electronic devices, like phones or laptops, can disrupt your body's production of melatonin. That's the hormone that regulates sleep. Now, I will put my hand on my heart and I will confess that I have a phone next to my bed. But I will also balance that out by saying that the screen goes off very early and I use that phone for relaxation podcasts, for meditations, or for gentle music. I know that if I wake in the middle of the night and I'm tempted to look at my phone, it will disrupt my sleeping pattern. Now, naps are really important, and a lot of people have naps during the day. But if you take a nap, if it's something that you enjoy doing, keep it short, keep it to about 20 to 30 minutes. Try to keep napping before or around lunchtime, not after lunch, and certainly not later in the day. That really does disturb sleep. And managing stress. Well, this is a big one. Stress and anxiety make it difficult to fall asleep. Try practicing relaxation techniques, as we've discussed, like deep breathing or meditation to help calm your mind. So, how does meditation help you fall asleep? Well, it's a very, very simple answer. If you relax the body, the mind will follow. And if you relax the mind, the body will follow. And if you can do both at the same time, you are heading quickly down towards a natural progression into sleep. So how do we quiet the mind? Well, we'll do this in a little while as part of the live meditation. You quieten the mind by focusing on a point of presence. Now, what's a point of presence? A point of presence is something within you that when you notice it, it will take you deeper into the experience. Now, the biggest and most widely used point of presence is focusing gently on the breath. Now, within the breath, and this is something obviously we do every second of every minute of every hour of every day, but we're very seldom consciously aware of it. Within the breath, there are different points of presence. There is the in-breath, there is the out-breath, there is the movement of the chest or the stomach or both as you breathe in and out. There is the flow of air around the nostrils and the noticing of the temperature of the air, which tends to be a little fresher on the in-breath and a little warmer on the out-breath. Now this here, this little, what the Buddhists call the monkey mind, is the biggest problem for people falling asleep. It is continual, isn't it? Again, I know from personal experience that when we try to fall asleep, or if we wake during the night, that the things that we worry about seem 100 times more amplified than they do when we wake in the morning. Again, personal experience for me. I would imagine the same for you. Let me know if this is the same for you. We lie awake in the middle of the night, worrying about A, B, C, D, and E. We wake in the morning and we think, why? Why was I worried about that? Everything's amplified when we're trying to fall asleep. So finding a point of presence quietens the mind. The conscious mind can't think of that many things at the same time, 5, 6, or 7. Absolutely, Laura, the problem's so much more intense at night. By focusing your mind gently on the breath as a point of presence, you dilute the mind. You take away a lot of the thought processes because it can't think of so many things at once. So by taking the mind down into the body, noticing the breath, noticing the ins and outs, the temperature at the nose, the movement in the body, and noticing, which you may all be aware of at this point if you've been watching my videos, that little bit of relaxation that happens, that tiny bit of relaxation that happens as you breathe out. This is what quietens the mind and relaxes the body. Now once you start this procedure, you will start to notice other points of presence within the body. As the body switches off, it starts to get heavier. It starts to feel heavier. Noticing that, welcoming it, enjoying it, allowing it to expand, helps the body switch off further. Thank you, Diana. There are so many things within the body that we can start to notice. The breathing, the heaviness, the temperature, the connection that we have between our body and the bed. And one of my all-time favorites, which is to search gently for parts of the body that you can start to feel energy in, aliveness. This is an amazingly simple technique, but once you get that and the mind switches off, the body goes down into sleep. The mind follows very quickly. Now, let me give you another wonderful example of the benefits of taking time to breathe, to look for points of presence, to relax the body with meditation and mindful techniques. If you go down into a heavy, deep, relaxed state in the evening, and you still don't manage to get the mind switched off, I can guarantee you that if you can go down into that meditative state, the body feels as if it's had a good sleep. Now, for anyone who's been practicing meditation for a while, and again, I'd love to hear if this is your experience as well. For anyone that's been practicing meditation for a while and deep physical relaxation, if you can get into that very deep, heavy state where you're feeling the energy and the heaviness and the temperature in your body, when your mind is focused on the in and out breath, when you're really letting go, half an hour of that, even if the mind hasn't switched over into sleep, half an hour of that can seem like a good 2 or 3 hours sleep. I hope I'm selling the meditation to you tonight. It is a wonderful thing to be able to do. And on a personal note, this has helped me hugely. Now, there is another thing I'd like to point out. I've worked for many years with people with sleep issues. So many people, as I said earlier, probably 2/3 of adults at any one point are having trouble sleeping. Sleep is a habit, like everything else. Hence, the advice to stick to a consistent sleeping pattern. The number of times that I've worked with people who sometimes have had severe insomnia, and they have had a time in their life, 10 or 20 or 30 years previously, where they've had 2 or 3 weeks broken sleep. And that has led to them having 2 or 3 decades of what they call insomnia. It can be that quick to build a very bad sleeping pattern. Even if you think you were doing something positive at that point. One story comes to mind. I'll just tell this very quickly. I worked with years ago, 20 years ago, I worked with a lawyer, and she had a very successful lawyer, but dreadful, dreadful sleeping patterns. And when I asked her when it had started, she had been doing her final exams in university. And she had 2 or 3 weeks where she barely slept. She was drinking coffee. She was having cigarettes. She was hardly eating. She was studying and studying and studying. Now, for her, that was the best thing that she could do at that point, because it got her through her exams, her final exams. She passed with flying colours, as they say. But that led to her having 2-3 decades of what she called insomnia. Now, the reason for me telling you this is that it's a habit, a bad habit, that's been created with bad sleeping problems. You can also create a really good, positive sleeping habit simply by sticking to consistent sleep schedules, reducing caffeine, getting your bedroom in the best possible state it can be for a good night's sleep, avoiding heavy meals, doing some stretching, and learning relaxation techniques. And luckily, with the videos that are part of this webinar, you can turn your screen off before you play them, or just as you press play. So let me just have a quick look at where we are time-wise. Okay. As usual, I've been chatting too long. Let's do a little meditation, and I'll give you an idea of points of presence. Just a simple one, 5 minutes. Okay. I'm assuming you're seated. I'm assuming you can close your eyes without any problems. This will be about 5 minutes long. So placing your feet on the floor and resting your hands comfortably on your lap, making sure you're sitting comfortably. Take a nice, gentle, deep breath in. And as you breathe out, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Now, closing the eyes removes all visual stimulation. It starts the process of us going within, making it easier to tune in on what's happening within the body. As I mentioned earlier, one of the nicest techniques is to look for points of presence. And they vary from person to person. You can only notice what you notice. But the one thing we all have in common, and the one thing that you can notice as I mention it, is your breathing. No need to change it, just notice it. Notice which parts of your upper body are moving as you breathe in and out. As I mentioned earlier, this might be the first time that you've been aware consciously of your breathing today. Isn't that curious? Notice the flow of air at the nostrils. Notice the difference in temperature between the in-breath and the out-breath. And notice how, as you breathe out, your body relaxes just a little. Now, this is something that you can imagine happening as well. You can imagine your body's relaxing as you breathe out. We all know that there are times in life where we can hold a little tension. And something happens that allows that tension to be released and we take a sigh. Doesn't it feel good to just sigh? Simply following the breath seems so simple and yet so effective. If the mind wanders off, and it will from time to time, especially as you slip down into sleep, don't get caught up in it. Don't join in the game. At some point, you'll notice that your mind has wandered. And you just step back from it and return to the breath. Remembering the analogy of the conscious mind being like a little cheeky monkey. Trying to push away the cheeky monkey, and it wants to hang on to you. Trying to hold on to it, and it wants to escape. The solution is just to watch. Don't add energy, just return to the breath. Now, what do you notice in your body? What do you notice that we could call a point of presence? Perhaps there's a sensation of heaviness. Perhaps you can feel temperature in certain parts of your body. Perhaps there's a sense of aliveness. You can feel energy within the body. You only notice these things when you notice them. Good. Now bring some movement into your toes. Bring some movement into your hands and fingers. Take a deeper breath as if you're wakening the body. And you can open your eyes and come back to the present moment. And if you need to have a stretch or have a mouthful of water, please do so. Welcome back. Now, if you've watched my videos or been on my webinars previously, you'll probably know what I'm about to say here now. Do not, under any circumstances, be fooled by the simplicity of these techniques. It is the simplicity of these techniques that makes them work. You're working in tandem, in partnership with your breath and your body to quieten the mind, to relax the body, which quietens the mind, which relaxes the body, which takes you deeper into the body, which makes you more aware of what's happening within the body, which quietens the mind. Simple, easy, beautifully productive for sleep. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you did. Let me just have a look at some open questions. If there's any more, please. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Carolyn, again. So you can fall asleep, but then 2 or 3 hours later, wake up and can't go back to sleep. It's infuriating, isn't it? It really is. So, at the risk of repeating myself, Carolyn, the best thing you can do is to go back into a meditative state. Go looking for points of presence. Now, if this happens regularly, I wonder if you stay in your bed or if you get up and wander about. But yes, waking during the night, make sure that you're cool, make sure that the room is dark. Certainly for me, practicing meditation at that point is hugely beneficial. This is a very difficult thing to do, Carolyn, and for anyone else that's listening who feels the same way, it's so easy to struggle with it. It is so easy to try and fall asleep. The best thing you can do is find simple techniques and let go of the struggle. When you let go of the struggle, it becomes so much easier. So much easier. Whitney, I hope that answers your questions as well. Hot flashes, yes. Needing to go to the restroom, again, these are things that happen. These are things that happen throughout life. If there's a medical reason for them, obviously seek advice, but the secret is not to be bothered too much. One of the things that I have tried recently, if I've had to get up during the night, is to try and avoid switching lights on. What a difference that makes, unless of course you stub your toe on the sink or the door, but try to have some little tiny soft lights so you can see your way around. It's amazing what a difference it makes. Laura, there is no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that as we get older, our need for sleep decreases. It decreases. And yet, I know from my own elderly parents that that afternoon nap can be hugely beneficial, but not too long. Timothy, the use of medicinal sleep aids. If your doctor has prescribed medicinal sleep aids, then absolutely, there are some wonderful pharmaceuticals. As I mentioned earlier, sleep can be more about habit. It is therefore very useful if you're on medicine to help you sleep, to try and break that with the help of and the advice of your doctor, of course. But it's nice to build patterns and habits of mindfulness and meditation and little relaxation techniques and breathing techniques to try and build up your own reservoir, your own sort of library of techniques. I hope that helps. Timothy, meditation is learned behavior. How do you get started with meditative practices? Find some gentle techniques that suit you. Find someone that uses techniques that suit you. Thought about the right length of time with the right voice. One of the things that I pride myself on is the fact that I never assume anyone has had previous meditation experience. So I try to keep things really simple and really easy. Too many people go too quickly into meditation and find that they can't do it, but it's a learned process. It's like riding a bike. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Becky in the chat says sleep stories. Absolutely. Sleep stories can be incredibly beneficial. Now, I don't want to say that sleep stories bore you into sleep. That's far from the case. But if they are specifically designed sleep stories, again, to distract the mind, the purpose really isn't listening to the story. The purpose is to take the mind off on a journey so that the body can relax, just the same as breathing. Anonymous attendee says that you use the techniques most nights, get to sleep well with good. But once the brain runs away with itself, it's difficult to get it under control. Is there a technique to catch these moments? I can tell you now that there are people who have been practicing meditation for 40 years, an hour of meditation a day for 40 years. Their mind will still wander. The mind wandering is not the problem. It's getting caught up in the wandering that's the problem. It leads us off into analysis and judgment and worries and into the future and into the past. It's amplified when we're trying to fall asleep. The more you get used to meditation techniques, the more you will notice that you're the observer of the thoughts. Now, I know that seems a little strange, but stick with it. Just practice this. There will be a part of you that notices that your mind has wandered off. And it is that part of you that notices that the mind has wandered off that can pull back from it. Step back, I always say, step back and return to your breathing. The only thing, as I said during that meditation, the mind is like that cheeky monkey, that naughty little monkey. Trying to push the thoughts away doesn't work. Trying to hold on to them doesn't work. Just watch them and they'll go. Just don't add energy to them. Go back to the breath. Go back to the breath. Abhay, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. What about afternoon tea? Well, tea has got caffeine in it, but it's also relaxing. So, yeah, nothing wrong with afternoon tea. Not too late, though, and not too much of it. Reading an ebook before sleep. If you can find an ebook reader with a nighttime screen that doesn't glare, that doesn't have the blue light, then Nothing wrong with that. If that is what suits you to go back to sleep, absolutely, or before sleep. My husband snoozes, says Mary, and many times experiences active dreams of swinging arms, so my sleep is interrupted. I get up and move to the couch, and then problems going back to sleep. I hate to move to a different room to sleep, but this might be my only option. Oh, Mary, I hear you. I'm so sorry for that one. The solution may be for your husband to start listening to some meditation techniques or recordings. Now, nothing's guaranteed with this, but I have had similar experience with working with people. There are times when we fall asleep with deep relaxation techniques or meditation techniques, and it takes the listener into a different level of sleep, where sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes these active dreams don't appear. Now, there are times where someone doesn't have active dreams, goes into a different level of sleep and has active dreams. But as a solution for something you may want to test, then this might be something if your husband wants to listen to that. I don't think there's anything else I can say regarding that, Mary. I do hope that helps. Marvinia, white noise helps. Yes, it does. I know lots of people that use white noise or brown noise. For me personally, I couldn't do that. It doesn't work for me, but I know that people do. They enjoy something there.
I did want to, if I could, point out there are a few that were answered in or asked in during registration. One that I thought was interesting that it seems like a new subject maybe that you haven't covered yet, but if you have any advice for sleep problems that are caused by anxiety or depression.
Yes, certainly from an anxiety point of view, thank you, Chris. From an anxiety point of view, again, using techniques that relax the body, that slow the heart, that reduce adrenaline, that calm the mind, hugely beneficial for anxiety problems. And as I've often said, learning to do this sort of thing to help with anxiety when these techniques contain no calories or chemicals and you can't get addicted to them, is hugely beneficial. Depression is a different matter. You can understand why people with anxiety benefit hugely from relaxation techniques. Once you learn that you can control your body relatively quickly, relatively easily, without side effects, it has a hugely positive impact on someone's view of their anxiety, even if the techniques just take the edge off. Depression is a very different thing. What I can tell you is that, and I've said this many, many times, I don't really care what's going on in your life in any way, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually. If you can build good sleeping patterns, good natural sleeping patterns, everything, and I mean everything, feels better in the morning. There are specific techniques to use for depression, and I know that that's a wide word that covers an awful lot of things, but perhaps they're not suitable as a sleeping technique. I hope that helps. If you're suffering from depression, or whatever words you would use for that, then it is hugely beneficial to still sleep really well, but look for other techniques for during the day that will help. I do hope that's helped someone. So Karina said the deep sleep section of the Relax program says it should be done every night for 3 weeks to see a result. Is this the case? Yes, and it's a simple answer to that. Opinions vary about habit building. They vary hugely, but it's generally thought, that doing something once a day for about 3 weeks creates a positive habit. And of course, a negative habit, but we're talking about positive habits here. Doing something once a day for about 3 weeks creates a positive habit, i.e., your body will get used to it. It will become an inbuilt behavior, and you will start to miss it if you stop. Does that make sense? About 3 weeks. That's why for so many recordings that I have, or so many things about creating bad habits, I'll always say use once a day or once a night for about 3 weeks. Of course, you can use them for longer. And there are some people that will listen to a recording or a video for 2 or 3 times, and that will become their pattern. That's all they need. But as I said earlier, there are no, I know I laugh about this, but there are no calories, there are no chemicals, there are no addictive properties, and the benefits of meditation and mindfulness and relaxation and breath work are so profound that they will start to open up different areas of your life. Hugely beneficial. Heidi and anonymous attendee, I can't really comment on melatonin. It's not a subject that I am hugely informed about. And Carolyn, so maybe the last question to answer here, Carolyn Turner. Thank you, Carolyn. And there are no dumb questions. There never are. I inhale through the nose and normally exhale through the mouth. Are we supposed to inhale through the nose and also exhale from the nose too? Not sure if there's a preferred technique on the inhale and exhale. Carolyn, the answer is whatever you're comfortable with. Now, there are specific meditation techniques about breathing in and out through the nose or breathing in and out through the mouth or a mixture of them. You will be told that on specific meditations. You must do what is comfortable for you. If you don't think too much about it, you will find your own natural flow of breath, whether it's in and out through the nose or the mouth or a mixture. You will find your own comfortable routine, speed, depth. Just go with that until you don't. And you might find something better. It's always good to play about with it. But no, do whatever is good for you. That's the answer to that. Don't try too hard. Be gentle with yourself. That's what I always say. I hope that helped, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So that's going to wrap it up for our session with Andrew today. Thank you again, Andrew. Thank you to all of you who attended. Hope it was helpful. I just wanted to leave this slide up at the end as everyone signs off so people can get a chance to see what Andrew's programs are on Grokr. The big one there, Nightly Wind Down, is the one that's just launching today. So hopefully people will find a lot of help from that one. So thank you
everybody, and thank you for your positive comments, and thank you, Chris, for doing a wonderful hosting.
My pleasure. Thank you all. Take care.